Welcome to the Margin Line Podcast. I'm Joe Lynch, head of go-to-market at Dandy. This show is all about peeling back the layers of how technology is revolutionizing dentistry, especially in partnership with DSOs and ambitious private practices. We want to give you the inside scoop on what is actually goes on in the lab, the challenges we face, the advances we're making, and the stories from the front lines that matter most to doctors and patients. Today's guest is Dr. Trey Mueller, the Chief Clinical Officer at Dental Care Alliance. Dr. Trey's journey tracks three distinct phases: clinician founder, strategic exit, and now corporate operator. He started his career as a University of Florida trained dentist, co-founded Dental Associates of Florida, and scaled it into a 12-location practice in Central Florida. His first major inflection point was the decision in 2016 to partner with DCA, a major DSO. This moved him from owner to partner operator. The second was your very rapid ascent from within DCA's corporate structure, from moving to a chief dental officer and then to chief clinical officer, where you now currently sit. Super excited to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
Hey, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We met maybe about a year ago, actually, right around this time. And I was awestruck when I realized that you had gone from being a local dentist to chief clinical officer of DCA in less than 10 years. And I think the story of how you navigated that transition is really a masterclass in strategy, leadership, and personal evolution. So let me take you back to 2005.
Okay.
You just graduated dental school, and you open your first practice.
I was first an associate at a dental office. Okay. So came out of dental school. I got a job with a guy named Trey Mueller. Worked there for about a year. It was a great experience. He has a tremendous dental office. Still actually copy that model today and how he runs that office. Okay. But good friend of mine to this day and partner. But I went to him after about a year and I was like, Trey, appreciate the experience. It's been amazing. You've been really good to me. But I want to own a dental office. Sure. So he says, well, why don't we do that together? I was like, sounds good. So I could still, work at his office while we're building the second one. So opened up my first dental office in, I guess it was 2006. Okay. And
so very short
period of time. And I'm sure you remember back in those days, shortly there around 2008 when the housing market crashed. Right. So a few of the offices actually bought, pennies on the dollar from the bank that had gone belly up and bankrupt. So grew through acquisitions, through de novos, up to 12 dental offices, and then kind of gotten to the point at 12 offices where I couldn't run it anymore and still do dentistry.
Sure.
And went to school to be a dentist. I wanted to continue being dentistry. So that's when we started to explore, maybe a partner and affiliation with a larger DSO.
So you're practicing as an associate. You're an expert in the craft, right? You have graduated dental school. You're working with another dentist. And what was the shift that you made mentally to go from great clinician to entrepreneur?
I think I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, that gene in me. I grew up working, and my grandfather and uncle were physicians. Yep. Grew up working in their office. My uncle had grown a chain of medical offices, so he was kind of my role model in that regard. I was like, maybe I could do this on the dental side. So even before I graduated from dental school, I kind of had
the itch.
I had that edge and that kind of vision of what I wanted to do. So yeah, fortunately it's worked out pretty well.
And as you go from 1 to 5 offices, I'm sure there are learnings there, and then from 5 to 12 offices, like what were the milestones along the way that encouraged you to say, I'm doing the right thing here and we're building out a thing that is scalable and repeatable?
I really like to put teams together. To be honest with you, I never truly loved doing the actual dentistry.
Okay.
I love helping people.
Sure.
I love, like I said, putting teams together that work, that function. seeing an office that's not doing so great, and
Turning
now we're turning around. We're actually doing really well, and helping our patients. So that's always kind of been what I really enjoyed and what I really like to do.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any long-term plans to ever, sell or affiliate with a DSO. But, once it got to like that 12 office mark, I need some help around here.
Okay. And when you started exploring, there's a lot of DSOs out there. What do you think what were the things that you were looking for in that partnership that ultimately led you partnering with DCA?
So the main thing about Dental Care Alliance is they offer a partnership model.
Mhm.
So instead of totally selling out, right, and having zero equity, I was able to hold back and to maintain a pretty good chunk of my practices.
Right.
I was 36 years old at the time, so I didn't. My wife and I probably she would have divorced me if I sat home all day and did nothing, right? So this still allowed me to be involved in the business. Since that point, affiliated in 2016. So since that point, DCA and I have opened about to be our sixth practice together. So 6 de novo since then. So to be honest with you, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it wasn't going to work out. You hear a lot of horror stories about joining a DSO. I'd always kind of been my own boss.
Right.
I thought there was a really good chance that I would, maybe serve out my couple years, serve out my non-compete and start it all over again. But here I am 10 years later.
Yeah. And so as you have integrated into your original 12 plus your 6 de novos, what was the most important part of that playbook of working within DCA, and what's been the most important part of that relationship?
I think just identifying the right locations, the right doctors.
Yeah.
And then, mentoring those doctors, training the staffs. I'm big on that.
Yeah. Tell me about that, because a lot of our listeners, they're hiring associates or they're opening de novo locations, and hiring great dentists is hard.
It's very hard, and much harder since the COVID years.
Yeah.
I do find that dentists are a lot less ready than they were for various reasons coming out of dental school these days. So it's very important to have, good training, good CE to get them up to where they need to be, a lot more so than it seemed to be used to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one part is hiring. What are the types of traits that you're looking for in the either associate or lead dentist that you're hiring into those practices? Is the first question. And then second, once you hire them, walk me through what are the investments you're making in training?
It's hard to teach personality, right? It's hard to teach, compassion.
Patient empathy.
Patient empathy. Like, are you a good person?
Yeah.
Do you have a good personality? Can you get along well with others?
Yep.
The dentistry, I can teach you, but certain things are a lot harder to teach than others.
Okay.
And then just getting them, at that point in time, I was able to do some hands-on stuff because I was at the chair.
Right.
Now it's a little harder, but, and then getting them into the right training modules, training up on implants, trained up on ortho, Invisalign, that sort of thing.
Are there areas of training that you're finding now to be more important in the post-COVID era?
It's really all of it. I mean, I was telling you earlier, I interviewed a dentist a few months back that had literally never made a denture before. I mean, read about it in textbooks, but that's not how dentistry works.
Right.
It's a hands-on business. You got to learn how to make a denture. So it's really everything. And when we onboard them, we have the dentist take a kind of a self-assessment, so we know where you are, what do you need help with. So it's a little bit different. Yep. Just across dentist to dentist. And then, we make them kind of a self-path on where, a roadmap on where they need to get.
Okay. And when you bring those doctors in, you open a new location, what are the early metrics that you look at within those practices to say this practice is on a path to success versus this practice needs a little more intervention?
Well, definitely new patients,
Okay.
right? How many new patients are we getting? And then as far as, the doctor goes, how much is he treatment planning? What's his case acceptance look like? Those are probably, I would say, the main ones: production per day, and then feedback from staff and patients.
When you see one of those metrics going off course, how do you, as a chief clinical officer, help direct the associate dentist on how to turn that metric around?
Yeah. So now I would just go to our dental directors.
Yeah.
And then they would have direct feedback to the actual dentist. We have so many KPIs and so many metrics. It's almost paralysis by analysis sometimes, right? You kind of get bogged down in the weeds.
Yep.
Like way too many too many metrics.
Dashboards
Blinking everywhere. But yeah, just zeroing in, kind of like, all right, well, let's focus here. Because it does get overwhelming with all the information and data that we have these days.
Yeah. When you're opening a new practice, how do you think about attracting new patients? Like, what has been the secret to, in your de novo locations in particular, really bringing patients in the door?
A lot of that depends on where it is and the demographics. Okay. I find that, and just to be clear, I'm not very involved in the marketing. Sure. We have a whole marketing department. Yeah. But back when I was, I feel like you're older, where you're more geriatric patients, direct mailers seem to get a really good response. Where younger families are, social media, Facebook, Instagram.
So really localizing to your specific audience.
Totally from office to office. I wouldn't say it was one thing in particular.
Got it. So when you hit 12 practices, you realize I need help. How did you handle those functions as an independent dentist? And as you transitioned into DCA, what was the biggest relief?
The biggest relief was not having to deal with marketing, not having to deal with HR and back office. Sure. I could focus on just hiring good dentists. Yeah. Helping them out, mentoring. And focus really just pretty much on dentistry, and the stuff that I went to school to learn how to do, and not all the back office support stuff.
On those things, you were the founder, so you were the ultimate decision maker. And in many cases, after you align with a DSO or partner with a DSO, you go from being the founder, the decision maker, to being part of a much larger corporate structure. Can you share, what was that transition like for you?
The early days was a little bit strange, right? So, you're always hesitant. What's going to change here? What's happening? So, you affiliated, you get a nice payout. Right. And then I totally expected somebody to be in my office the next day. I didn't see or hear from anybody for like 3 or 4 months. I'm like,
oh, interesting.
Do they even know I'm here? Yeah.
So not a lot changed on day one.
No, at all. Yeah. And got to the point where I'm like, what's going on here? I haven't heard from them. Yeah. Guess we're doing okay. Yeah. And then I was telling this story to a friend of mine earlier. I get one of my assistants comes back and she's like, hey, there's some guy in a suit here to talk to you. And this is Winter Haven, Florida, very rural area.
Not a lot of suits.
Not a lot of suits. Still to this day, maybe the first and only suit that's been in this office. So I go out there. A guy named David North, who tragically actually passed away last week.
At Squire, yeah. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, incredible man.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I want to take you to lunch. So I was like, okay, let's go to lunch. So we go to lunch, and he's like, really want you to be the dental director. And I was like, so what's a dental director? What do they do? Like, I don't know. Just keep doing what you've been doing. That was my introduction to the job. Okay. And it kind of stayed like that for a while until we kind of put some job descriptions in place here recently. But yeah, and then became the dental director. Honestly, in my case, not a whole lot changed other than some the practice management software and small things like that. But to DCA's credit, they kind of left me alone. We did really well. I've done really well together as a partnership. Right. adding offices.
Really autonomy and support when needed.
For the most part, and I don't know how other DSOs operate, but if you're hitting your numbers and doing the right thing, everybody kind of stays out of your way. There's enough other problems to focus on, which I certainly know by this point in this position.
What was the most surprising thing after you aligned?
I totally expected them, to come in and just make radical changes, and it just never really happened.
So you started as a dental director. What was the mandate? Like, what were the things that you were now taking on that you were not doing previously?
It's actually doing far less.
Okay.
As a dental director, really, all I was doing was making sure I hired good docs, trying to get them trained up, onboarding them, staying in contact, making sure everybody's happy, had what they needed to be successful.
Sounds like a lot.
That was a lot, but I wasn't talking to people on what they wanted on Facebook ads and worrying about how payroll is going to get done and that sort of thing. So, the building relationships with the dentist and that always to me has been enjoyable.
Yeah. You then go from dental director to chief clinical officer.
Chief dental officer.
What changed in that transformation and that transition?
So it's a pretty good story. I was dental director, and then the CEO at the time gives me a call, and he's like, "Hey, I would like to take your wife and you out to dinner. Or my wife, let's all go have dinner together." Went out to have dinner together. Things went well, and then the next day he called me and was like, "Hey, the chief clinical officer at the time was retiring. It's like, I really want to split Don Gallo's role, up into two different people. Would you be interested?"
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is like something I've never really even thought of, but sounds interesting. I've kind of been burned out at the chair, like I said, ready to step away a little bit more from dentistry. So I was like, yeah, I'm interested. The CFO at the time was like, look, you're a big producer.
Yeah.
You've got to find somebody to backfill yourself. We can't lose all that production.
Yeah.
So I hired a dentist, a really, really good one, Neil McInnes. And then, got him up to the point where I really didn't need to be in the office anymore.
Okay.
So started playing a lot of golf. And then
handicap came down
and called the CEO, and I was like, all right, the practice is fine. Doesn't need me anymore. I'm ready, to step in that role. So I got bad news for you. I'm leaving. Bad timing. I was like, essentially hired myself out of a job, right?
Yeah.
So new CEO comes in. Eventually, I did end up getting the CDO job. Eric Tobler, who I'm sure you remember, was in the CCO job. So 6 to 8 months later, I'm on an airplane. I get a text message from him and one from the CEO back to back.
Yeah.
Call me immediately when you land.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, what'd I do?
Yeah.
So call immediately. Tobler was stepping away from the CCO job. And then the CEO job asked me, to take this position. Oh. So, going from a full-time dentist to the CDO to the CCO over, leading the clinical team over, 400 dental offices it's been a wild year.
That's an incredible transformational year. And there's a ton to unpack here, but I actually think maybe the through line through this is you've built systems for yourself. And so I'd actually love to start with the first transformation, which is one of the things that we hear from dentists as they're practicing and building, their own practice or building their DSO is, how do I replace myself in production? How did you do that? That's like the first most important system to start.
You hire a really good dentist.
Yeah.
I thought it would take a lot longer than it did,
okay.
But this guy hit the ground running, and really backfill myself in no time.
Do you feel like you had, at that point, had you standardized sort of the patient workflows and the all of the other aspects of the practice? Because there are many great dentists, and I think you're probably selling yourself a bit short here, because I'm sure there are other parts of the practice that you had otherwise standardized so that someone could step in and actually operate.
Yeah. So the cool thing about my offices, and now that I've been in so many different ones, the cool thing about mine is they all run pretty identical. So I can pick an office manager or whatever from here and stick them over here. If they move, they can move around to my offices, and there's not a whole lot of disruption.
Yeah.
So that has helped and been really cool. Really good RBP and Monica Ritchie, who does a really good job with that. And our systems are pretty identical in every office.
Okay, so the systems actually allowed you to do that. You had started, I assume, then earlier as you were going from 1 to 12. The systems actually enabled you to scale.
Yeah.
And so when the time came and the call came, you were actually ready to step out.
Yeah.
Was that? Did you do that on purpose? Are you innately building systems, or is that something you learned over time?
So like I said, that very first dental office that I worked in ran very efficiently.
Yeah.
I learned how it ran.
The other Trey helped you.
The other Trey helped me.
Okay.
And we copied that system just over and over and over and over.
Wow.
Tweaked it along the way, made some improvements, but that's how we were able to do it so quickly.
So you made the transition from, again, founder to scaling your own multi-location group to now chief clinical officer. As you have now immersed yourself across all different practice types and sizes, one of the things that we hear about the DSO model is it sometimes gets criticized for prioritizing profit over patients. You're now the CCO. How do you think about that in your day-to-day? And I'm wondering, are there examples where, maybe we didn't make the best financial decision, but it was actually we prioritized the patient outcome and their health.
Yeah. I think a lot of that noise comes from people who aren't in DSOs.
Yeah.
To be honest. I mean, my philosophy and the one we share across DCA and certainly at Dental Associates of Florida that I started, I always tell dentists, do what's in the right interest of the patient.
Right.
That always comes first.
Definitely.
And the dollars follow.
Yeah.
Treat people how you want to be treated, do the right thing, do good dentistry, and the money takes care of itself.
Yeah, prioritize the patient experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the same way we think about it. The customer experience comes first, and if you do well at that compounds over time.
Totally. Right. You get referrals, it builds on itself. You treat people right, you do the right thing.
Yeah.
Success follows.
Yeah. Let me transition this. So as chief clinical officer, you now make technology decisions for DCA. What are the things that you're looking at or evaluating to drive a better patient experience or a better doctor experience?
Well, I would say with AI, certainly we have a partnership with Overjet.
Yep.
Reading our x-rays has been a huge help.
Okay.
For doctors and pointing out cavities. And I think it's also been a huge help in case acceptance, treatment planning. Big investment into scanners with recently just made a really big one with iTero, so we can do a lot more Invisalign. That's a big imperative this year. Working with Dandy.
Yeah.
We're
in a lot of your practices.
You're in a few.
Yeah.
But you guys, cutting edge of technology.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently got a tutorial on your new scanner.
Yeah.
Looks like it was just wheeled out of Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And then the AI that you guys have inside that scanner, I think is really going to help us, particularly with new doctors, pointing out design flaws in preps, undercuts, poor margins, not enough occlusal clearance.
Yeah.
So, so much AI stuff now that's really, really, for a while in dentistry, I think it was the cool thing to say.
Yeah.
But
not a lot of
value. But now you can really see, all right, this is game changing.
Yeah.
You know?
Where do you think that where do you think that will most impact the patient experience?
I think the big thing is everything is just so much more efficient.
Yeah.
You know,
Shorter appointments.
shorter appointments. Like, it used to be we would take an old school impression instead of a scan, and then you would hear back in 3 or 4 days that, oh, the impression wasn't good. Bringing the patient back in for another impression, and you don't like your scanner tells us if the scan's good immediately.
Immediately. Yeah. There's no patient visits.
There's no patient, and I'm getting a crown back in 3 days.
Yeah.
So, just a lot more efficient, and frankly, a lot better. Everything's more accurate.
Yeah.
So I think the scanning, not only for the doctors, just being, so much more accurate, things fitting better, for the patient too. It just speeds things up.
Okay. And that's, I think, on the GP side. DCA formed a specialty support side in 2022, I believe. How do you think about the integration of specialty dental care with GP?
That's a hard one, and quite frankly, one we have not mastered or done a very good job with.
Yeah.
Ortho is so much different.
Right.
Orthopedo is so much different than the GP, and I mean, we're certainly going to get there, but we have a lot of work to do in that area.
When you think about the future of dentistry, do you believe we're moving more towards that integrated model of specialty and GPs working closely together, or do you believe they'll continue to operate more as separate disciplines?
I think they work better as separate.
Yeah.
It's hard to, if kind of what you were meaning is they were working in the same office or same environment, it's hard to get a GP outside of the organization to refer into our organization where there's GPs there, because they don't know if they're going to get their patients back. They're uneasy about that.
Yep.
So I tend to think it works a lot better when they're separate.
Makes sense. When you think about the opportunities inside of your practices today, what do you believe is the largest untapped opportunity in dental?
I think right now is for us anyway, is just upskilling our dentists so they're able to do a larger scope of work.
Okay.
More procedures.
And do you think that's changed? Like when we were talking about pre-COVID versus post-COVID associates or dentists coming out of school, do you think that's changed, like the amount of upskilling required?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
100%. So right now at DCA, we're spending a lot of money, time, efforts. My 2 CDOs do a wonderful job. Kristen Hendricks, who Dr. Tess,
of course.
Doing a lot of work building out, our educational kind of foundation to dental mastership.
Okay.
DCA historically has never really had any resources to upskill our dentists. So right now that's a really, really big focus for us.
Wow.
Is building out kind of that roadmap to, how do you become dentists out of dental school who frankly is not ready. It's a little scary in a lot of cases to be in that master clinician, and we're taking a lot of pride in that program. Still a work in progress, but
sure,
it's getting better and better, and something we're proud of.
And what do you think as those dentists come out of the DCA training, what do you think is the metric that you will see move as those dentists become more skilled?
So I think they're going to be ready to do a lot of implants.
Okay.
They're going to be a lot better surgically and extractions. Mm-hmm. Endodontics, so root canals.
Yep.
It's going to be a big one. And then, a big thing with dentists coming out of school, they just don't have confidence, right? So their treatment planning, their case acceptance, if you come across to a patient as not very confident,
it shows.
Totally shows. I tell them, fake it. Go in there. Act confident, right? I know you're not, but a lot more than the patient.
And they're well educated.
Yeah.
And do you find that as you're working with these young clinicians that technology is changing or giving them additional points of confidence?
It is. And technology really helps sell the cases to the patients, right? Like it's
You can see
it's objective, right? Like it's black and white. This is a computer telling you, or an AI function telling you what's wrong with your teeth.
Right.
The scanners with the pictures are so detailed and so good. Used to just be, hey, if you have a crack on 19. If I take a picture of it with the scanner and blow it up on the screen, and the patient actually sees a big crack, and then they're like, oh, what are those ugly black things in my teeth and big amalgam fillings? They're like, I don't want those in there anymore. Right. So technology's really helped.
Yeah, just build trust.
It builds trust. It's impartial. Patients, it's that part has really helped, especially young dentists.
Yeah, of course.
Selling treatment.
I'm going to bring it back to the earliest part of your career. So for a dentist who's running a 1 to 5 location practice today, what's the single most important piece of advice that you would give them?
Hire good dentists, hire good staff. And I think a big thing for me was building a good culture. Take care of your people. Take care of your people. You take care of your people, they take care of you. I'd like to think that for the most part across Dental Associates Florida, we were like a family. Yeah. We looked out after each other. I think a lot of things just, hey, you did a good job. Yeah. Goes a long way.
Yeah. Recognition.
Yeah. Recognition. Like, recognize people. Tell somebody when they do a good job. I mean, it means a lot to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So building the right culture, building the right teams, and that's one that I think gets overlooked.
And then for a dentist who's not sure, like they've gone to dental school, they've made a huge investment in becoming a dentist, but they may think that it's actually on the other side of it, realizing that clinical dentistry is not for them. How would you encourage them to think about a transition into something like DCA or another DSO?
As far as like not chairside?
Yeah.
That's a tough one because it's just hard to make. I mean, this is hard to believe, but I spoke to a recent graduate. I won't name the dental school, but we're in Manhattan and I think you could walk to it. She told me that it was $800,000.
Yeah. It's
insane,
incredibly expensive, and going to get even worse as there's a cap on student loan limits.
Yeah, so $800,000 to go to dental school these days in some places. You better make sure you like dentistry before you sign up. There's not many jobs you're going to have to pay those loans back, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so would you encourage people to make the transition that you did, or
well, there's just only so many jobs that out there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's been fun. It's been totally different. I was at the point in my career where kids were getting older. I'm kind of had the flexibility to travel a lot more than I did when my kids were smaller and younger.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they're, you get in academia, you can do some things, but it's hard to replace what you can make as a practicing dentist if, you're trying to do those things outside of dentistry.
Right. You lead a very large team today. What is one belief you hold about leadership that most people would disagree with?
To me, it's not that. I just don't find it to be that hard, right? Yeah. You put really good people around you. Yeah. I have a great clinical team. We work really well together. And, as long as there's communication, I delegate to the right people, depending on their skill set. I don't find it that hard. You treat people with respect.
Build a great culture.
Right? And have a great team you can bounce ideas off of. That's my style.
One of the interesting things as you get more and more senior and you lead larger and larger teams is that it's harder and harder to disagree sometimes. I'm wondering if you could share an example of a decision recently that, you just said hire great people and bounce ideas off of them where your initial idea was wrong and you took the advice of one of your team members.
So one yesterday that just came up was
yesterday. I love it.
Yesterday. Yeah. It's fresh on my mind.
This is how it's in practice.
So, when a big change, a big shift in hiring new docs is this whole what we call daily guarantee, right? They're coming out of school. They want you to give them a daily guarantee of X amount of dollars, right?
Right.
So what I had historically done at Dental Associates of Florida was giving them like a 90-day. What they're seeing now with the research is, when that 90-day approaches or whatever, the dentist gets a little antsy. Hey, my daily guarantee is going to go away. Right. And then they end up looking for another job.
Right.
So I wanted to keep the 90-day guarantee. It worked at Dental Associates of Florida, right? But I guess company-wide, it's proving to be less valuable. So let's move it to a year.
That's a big choice.
It's a big choice.
Big investment too.
It's a big investment. So something you definitely got to keep your eye on. Obviously, at 6 months, if you look at the situation, you're like, this isn't going to work out.
Right.
You can end the agreement earlier, but that's just one recently where I kind of made the decision, and others were like, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the year.
Yeah. Wow. By the way, speaking of like culture and treating people the way you want to be treated, like you're providing a lot of stability. Probably not the best financial decision if you were to just do the math.
Right. Right.
But it is a counterintuitive insight that sometimes the culture will have a greater impact on profitability and long-term financial health of the organization. Trey, this has been a masterclass in scaling a services business, and then obviously your own personal career journey from founder through to chief clinical officer. For any dentists or practice owners listening, where can we learn more about Dental Care Alliance?
I would like, if you have any questions, please send me an email. T Mueller, Mueller at dentalcarealliance.com. I love talking to other dentists. I love hearing their problems, talking about solutions. Shoot me an email, and I take pride in returning all my emails. So, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome.
This was great. I learned a bunch, and I actually learned a bunch about you, which is cool to hear. But for everyone else, that's it for today's episode of The Margin Line. Thanks for joining.